All right, welcome to try 2 of Wednesday Live with Evie. So hopefully everybody who is watching me over at the other one can find me here, and I think this one is working better. Now my computer has kind of done its crashing thing, and hopefully it's running better. Let me know in the comments. Especially for those of you who are on live, let me know if I am slow and lagging. Okay, good. Rochelle says this is better. And for those of you who are watching the recording, you missed all of that, so good for you. So you just get to hear a little bit about it before I move on right now. So today we are talking about why accountability buddies are the best things since sliced bread, because they really are super great. And I'm going to share today why accountability buddies are so great, who is a good fit for having an accountability buddy, how to find a good one, and how to set the meeting or in the relationship up for success. So you're both really getting what you want out of the relationship. So again, say hello to me in the comments. I'd love to know that you're here. Special thanks to those of you who are here live and stayed with me through the technical difficulties. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Evie Burke, and I work with entrepreneurs, and I help them take their productivity to a new level. So they don't have to spend their time at the end of the day worrying about what got done or what didn't get done and what needs to be done tomorrow, but instead they can be fully present with the people that they are choosing to spend their evenings with. So again, today's topic is why accountability buddies are the best things since sliced bread. And for those of you who don't know what an accountability buddy is an accountability buddy is somebody that you meet with on a regular basis, and they hold you accountable to the things you tell them that you're going to do. And you do the same for them. So generally, this is just... Oh, you're not getting it, Barb? Can everybody else see and hear me? I think Rochelle said she could. So, well, Barb, yeah, I'll send you the link for the video, and you can watch it later. Sorry, it's not working for you. So, so generally, an accountability buddy is just one person, but you can get accountability in a lot of other places. But today we're talking about specifically accountability buddies, and that one person that you meet with on a regular basis to hold each other accountable. So who can benefit from having an accountability buddy? Well, if you are somebody who needs a deadline to get something done, accountability buddy might be a good fit for you. If you're somebody who's more likely to get things done if you tell somebody else about them, then it might be a good fit. And if you don't, or if you won't regularly make time to set your priorities and know what the things are that you want to get done, and having that meeting each day or each week, however you set it up, will help you do that, then it might be a good fit for you. Feedback. Well, everything should be turned off, so I'm not sure where the feedback would be coming from. So anyway, all right, so accountability buddies are so great because they keep you on track, and they can give you that extra incentive to get something done. I know my accountability buddy is Beth Myerski, and we meet weekly, and I'll talk a little bit more about meeting times and all of that in just a minute, but we have such a great flow going, and part of it's because we're friends and we get along, but part of it is because of the way that we set it up. You know, before we started, we talked about what we wanted out of the meetings, what was working for us and what wasn't, you know, as we went along and kind of played with it a little bit. And so accountability buddies are great because they can, like I said, they can give you that extra push. They give you a check-in time every week. And sometimes it's a great place to come where, you know, maybe you feel like you've had a really crappy week and you look and you're like, oh, well, but I got my stuff done. And they can really help put things in perspective. So even if something maybe didn't get done, yes, they hold you accountable, but they can also help you keep a good perspective over what's been going on, because they're not in that fishbowl with you, right? They're outside of it, and you get to do that for them too. So it's a really great opportunity to receive support, but also be supported by someone, or be that support for someone else. So how do you make sure you have a good accountability buddy? Well, one of the ways to do that is know what you want from your accountability buddy. Know what your expectations are. So again, how do you know what you want, especially if you've never had one before? So if you have had one before, look at what really worked about that relationship for you in the past, and maybe make a note of what didn't work and why that didn't work for you. So if you, like I said, if you haven't had one, here's some things maybe to think about. So in the past, for me, I've had a handful of accountability buddies, and some of them we worked really great together, and some of them we didn't. So for the ones that didn't work so well, one of the reasons one of them didn't really work was we were in completely different places in our business. She had a business that she was doing part-time. She had a different business that was her full-time gig, but our accountability was focused on her part-time gig. And that one was difficult because she would walk away each week feeling like she hadn't hardly accomplished anything, because she didn't feel like she was doing enough because she was working part-time, right? She was at a different spot in her business. And she would leave wishing she could spend more time in her business to make more progress. And when I didn't get much done, she would let me get away with it. And sometimes I didn't want to share, and this was just completely on me, I didn't want to share the progress or the things I was doing with her, because I knew that she was feeling behind because she wasn't working full-time in her business. So one of the ways that one of the things you might want to think about is, how are you running your business? Is it a full-time business? Is it a part-time business? And maybe finding somebody who's at a similar spot, and also maybe a similar place in their business. And that doesn't necessarily mean a similar age of business, but somebody who is maybe having similar income goals, or having just similar overall goals as to what you're having, so that you can support each other and move each other along. Another place you can be in different places, again, is because have different overall goals for your business. So I was working, one of my accountability buddies at one point was with somebody who had a business that just had huge income goals. And because she had made a lot of money in her business with her business in the past, wanted to keep moving that forward. And I was more at an entry level stage of my business, and I was still trying to figure out how to get clients. And I always felt so behind. And sometimes when she'd try to help me out, her advice would be a little too advanced. And sometimes when I would try to help her out, my advice wasn't advanced enough. So if we would have really been at the same spots in our business, maturity and income wise, then we might have meshed a little better together. So things that have worked for me is being at a similar place in our business, having similar, although maybe not exact, goals, and also having really clear expectations around when and how we meet and how we handle expectations not being met. Another time it didn't really work is we weren't really clear on when our meetings were, and are we meeting next week or are we not meeting next week? And she had wanted to take some time away, and we weren't super clear on when we were getting back together, and I tried to email her, and she was away, and so she didn't get back to me. And when she thought we were starting up our meetings again, I hadn't heard from her, so I didn't know that's when it was, and we just had a lot of communication issues. that could have been handled really easily had either of us just picked up the phone and called, or been very clear about the start date when we started up again. So just have very clear expectations of what and when your meetings are. So let's talk about how to set the meetings up for success. And before I go into this, I would love to know if you have an accountability buddy, share that in the comments if you have one, or if you would like to have one. And what has really worked for you in the past? Like if you were to look, if you've had accountability buddies in the past, what's worked for you? So I kind of lumped a bunch of questions there. So specifically right now, answer any of them, but specifically let me know if you currently have an accountability buddy, or if you would like to have one. So setting the relationship and the meetings up for success. This is all about, part of this is all about logistics. So this is where together you decide, or if you already know how you want to meet, make sure you're upfront with this when you're looking for an accountability buddy. So how do you want to meet? Do you want to meet on a phone call? Are you going to do it virtually via something like Zoom or a Skype? Are you going to send emails? How is it that you want to meet? And how often are you going to meet? Are you going to meet daily? Are you going to meet weekly, monthly? What is it? When are your check-ins? The most common are daily or weekly. Just decide what it is that works for you. And when do you meet? So are you meeting at the same time every day or every week, the same day? And I would recommend that at the end of the meetings, you just both check your calendars quickly to make sure that you're both free at the appointed time. So you're not forgetting that, oh yeah, I had this appointment and I need to, let's move the appointment up a half hour, or a meeting, to the next day. You're checking right then and there that the time still works for both of you. Will things occasionally still pop up? Yes, and that's okay. But this is something that Beth introduced to our meeting that just seemed so obvious and has really helped us keep on track, was just that quick 30-minute check at the end of the meeting of our calendars to make sure that the same day and time works the next week. And another thing here for logistics is, how long do you meet? So if you're meeting daily, maybe you have a in time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and maybe it's 5 minutes of check-in, and if you need it, the other 10 minutes of, hey, this is some things that are going on, or can you help me out with something? Beth and I, we meet weekly, and we generally meet for 15 minutes to a half hour. I know in my calendar, I schedule it out for a half hour, and generally we only need 15 minutes to do the check-in with each other, 10, 15 minutes. And then we also just share what else is going on. So whether we might need feedback on something, or just have a quick story that we want to tell the other person, we have some time for that. But 90% of the time we're done in a half hour. And that's really all the more time we need. So just know what that time is. And we also know sometimes we have things that come up where we need more than a half hour. So we might say, hey, can we meet, for, 15, 20 minutes sometime this week, because I want to go over XYZ with you. And so we'll set up those additional appointments as needed. The other thing to think about, so that's all logistics, the how you meet, how often, when you meet, and for how long. And then there's also the style. So Rochelle says she has several accountability buddies. That's great. So there's also the style of accountability buddy. And this is about what do you need for success? Are you somebody that is a drill sergeant or needs a drill sergeant? Okay, you didn't get that done. Why the hell wasn't it done? Let's go into it, just, again, the drill sergeant. Or do you prefer a softer approach? Why didn't that get done this week? Let's talk about that. Or something in between. Just know what style it is you provide and what style you need, and be upfront. So if you are talking with somebody who's a drill sergeant and that doesn't work for you, Ask them if they can change their approach. And if that's just who they are, maybe you need a different accountability buddy. And that's fine. Everybody works differently. Just be upfront about what style, what type of accountability you need. You know, how do you want somebody to respond when you haven't met your goals for the week? And how do you want somebody to respond when you do? You know, do you want the, hey, that's great? Do you want the, okay, good? You know, like, what is it you're looking for? And at the meeting, so when you're having your accountability meeting with someone, here's generally the form of those meetings. This is where you're going to, you know, just do a quick check-in, you know, how was your week? And then one person will say, you know, okay, these are the things that, well, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can like have 15 minutes a person. You can, so one person checks in on what they did last week and here are my things for next week, and then the other person goes. Or you can do where you both check in, you take turns checking in for how you did with your things from last week or the day before, depending on how often you meet. And then after you've both done that, then you can both go into what are your things for the upcoming week. Generally, I do, or Beth and I do we both check in and then we both do these are the priorities for the week. Sometimes one just kind of flows into the other and then the other person goes. So it just depends. But one of the things that you don't want to do when you're sharing what's coming up, what you want to be held accountable for the next week, this isn't a time where you share your to-do list for the entire week. This is just where you really want to think about what are my priorities for the week, where if nothing else gets done, what are the things that really need to get done this week, and you share those. So this is your like top 2 or 3 priorities for the week. You don't need a whole laundry list, you know, that'll make the meeting go long. You just want to really know what it is that you are focusing on for the week. And the other thing here is write down at the meeting, make sure you have some paper and write down not only what your partner's priorities are, or your buddy's priorities each week, but write down your own as well so that you have it in one spot. The next week you can go and you can look at it and you can notice if they maybe forgot to mention an item that they wanted to be held accountable for. And sometimes it just happens. And sometimes, you know, people don't meet a goal and they're like, oh, I didn't want to talk about that. And that can really bring up some discussions. So make sure you have both things written down. And sometimes even just reading through what you had written, sometimes that can pop things in somebody. So, and occasionally, and it's also helpful if you or your accountability buddy find yourself at a spot where you don't have your normal materials. Every once in a while that happens where, you know, one or the other of us will be having our call, you know, parked in a parking lot somewhere, and the materials that we normally have on us where we keep our track of what we're being held accountable for and what we said aren't with us. So if both people are writing them down, then the other person can go through them, and you don't have to worry about it. Anybody have any questions? Let me know. And share what you have found to be most helpful for you when having an accountability buddy. And this is both just what about an accountability buddy works well for you, and 1 or 2 things that maybe you do that really makes the relationship work super well. So I want to kind of close out this section of this with talking about 4 quick tips for becoming a good accountability buddy, or being a good accountability buddy. And one is be prepared. So be prepared, you know, with what you said you were going to be accountable for and what your buddy said they were going to be accountable for, and somewhere to make your notes, and also what your priorities are for the week. Be prepared when you come to the meetings. And that doesn't mean that all the time you're going to be able to do that, but as often as possible, come to the meeting prepared. So that's 1. 2, hold them accountable and be true to your style. So hold your accountability buddy accountable for the things they say they want to do, and do it in a way that is true to you. The third step, the third tip here kind of goes with the second one, and that is don't let unmet goals go without notice. So if you know that your accountability buddy has a particular goal, and you're noticing that their priorities each week aren't lining up with that goal, mention it. Don't let it just slide by. And it might just be, hey, you had mentioned that this was a goal. Is this still important? Don't just let it slide by. Your accountability buddies, bring it up. And tip number 4, call BS when necessary. So we are our own worst critics, and also sometimes we need kicks in the butts. So notice where your accountability buddy is with that, and either give them that swift kick in the butt, or let them know that maybe they are not expecting as much from themselves as they could. So handle that as it works for you, but when you notice something, bring it up. All right. And so now, finding an accountability buddy. How do you find an accountability buddy? Well, there's many ways to do that. I have been in coaching programs in the past where you were expected to find an accountability buddy who was also in the group. That worked for me with varying levels of success. So that's one way is, are there groups that you're in that you can find somebody that is also looking for an accountability buddy? Do you know somebody who you think just would be a great accountability buddy? Maybe you want to reach out to them and ask if they have one, or if they're, excuse me, my nose is itching, or if they would be interested in having an accountability buddy. And maybe you send them this video and just say, hey, if they're interested, just share it with them so that they have some ideas of things that you want to talk about and how to set it up so that it works well. Another way is to, kind of think about what you're looking for, how often you want to meet, and go to a Facebook group that you are regularly in and ask if anybody there is willing or is also looking for an accountability buddy. And don't just say, hey, I'm looking for an accountability buddy, who's interested, but be specific in what you're looking for. Let them know I'm looking for an accountability buddy that wants to meet weekly and, is also doing their business full time and is at such and such a place in their business. And you can include as much or as little as you want, but be as specific as you need to be so that you find somebody who's a good fit for you. So if you are looking for an accountability buddy and you don't have one, I invite you to head over to the Facebook group, Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs, and feel free to post there and just let people know that you're looking for an accountability buddy. And I'll share the link to that group in the comments there. Also in that group, I'm sharing more potential topics for these Wednesday lives. So if you want to participate in deciding what the topics will be, then join us over there and look for the posts. On Fridays is the goal going forward. They might be on Sundays sometimes, depending on what's going on, but generally I'm going to be posting those on Friday now. So join the group and join that conversation and let me know what topics you're interested in. And last but not least, I know the when you're learning marketing, they always say only have one ask. And I'm breaking the rule because I have something else I want to share with you. On Friday, February 2nd, yes, February 2nd, I am doing a workshop. So if you are somebody who believes in the power of intention, and you haven't set your intention for February, or you've set an intention, but you haven't thought about an intention for February around your business. So maybe you've set an intention, or you haven't set an intention, but you also haven't thought about what are you going to do to make that intention a reality. I am doing a workshop on Friday for 90 minutes. It's at 1:30. It's virtual. It's going to be via Zoom, so we'll be able to see each other and chat. And I'm going to walk you through not only setting your intentions for February, but looking at what needs to happen each week in February so you can reach that goal and that intention. So this is more than just planning out February. This is being intentional about what you're accomplishing for your business and how you want to make things happen and create things for your business in February. So if you want to be able to go into next week and the following weeks in February and know not only what your goals and your intentions are for February, but what your goals and intentions are each week that you're working towards without feeling overwhelmed, things that are doable and not overwhelming, then I invite you to join me for this program. This is something that I decided to do yesterday, so Tuesday. So there's not a sales page. There's not, anything fancy about this. I am going to have some PowerPoint slides for you to work from, and I'm going to walk you through a process, and you'll get a lot out of it, and you'll really set yourself up for a lot of success in February. So it's $17. It's on Friday at 1:30 for 90 minutes, and that's Central Time. If this is something that you're interested in, reach out to me, whether you comment about it or you send me a private message so that I can send you the link for the payment and the connection link information after that. So I look forward to you joining us then. And this has been Wednesday Live with Evie. Today we talked about why accountability buddies are the best thing since sliced bread, because they're great. They really do work, and they really do help keep you on track when you've set them, set the relationship and set the meetings up in a way that is intentional. I love that word, is intentional, and you both come to the meetings prepared. So I love my accountability buddy, and I know other people who regularly attend these have accountability buddies that they just adore also. So until next week, where I will cover another topic relating to productivity and being strategic in your business. So much love until then. Bye.